Hello and welcome to this week's Community Update. I'm Cole Sellers, joined here by Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Shelley Blaylock. Thank you for being here with us today. So students took the MAP test recently. Can you explain what that is?
Absolutely. We're excited that our students for the first time took the MAP Growth Universal Screener. That is a test that we are going to be doing throughout the school year in the beginning, middle, and end of the year that is going to show us where our students are ready to learn. So in the areas of reading, math, science, they are going to be taking this test to show us where students' instructional level is and to help teachers make some decisions surrounding best instructional practices and where students really need to focus their learning.
All right, I believe that this is the first time our students have taken this test. Why did we take this particular test?
This one is a nationally normed test, so it's going to give us information about where students are in comparison to other students at the same age and grade and content area that took this test as well. So it's going to give parents some insight that we haven't had before, aside from our state assessment and SAT and ACT. This one is different from those because we get to give it throughout the school year. So it's going to show us growth. So it's really going to help us hone in on where students need to grow, and then it's going to be critical as we start to look at course making decisions as we look to scheduling for the next school year.
And what can we learn from the results of the test?
That's a great question. Well, students, first of all, are going to learn a lot about themselves. So we're going to encourage our students to set some goals as far as where they want to see themselves excel once they receive their RIT score. So the RIT score is a measurement that will help parents, students, and teachers measure a student's progress across all grades. So after we've given this test for several years, parents will continue to see the RIT score grow, and it will show them by content area where a student is excelling. So students will be able to then decide, I want to see my score grow by this percentage point, and they'll be able to measure that. As well, it will help campus administrators and teachers make instructional decisions about where to maximize each student's instructional learning plan.
And what will parents be able to see from this data?
That's a really exciting part of this program. Parents are going to receive a family report, and within that report, parents are going to be able to actually see a metrics that's going to show them where their student performed, where they compared to a national norm, to that national standard, and what this RIT score is, and they'll be able to track that over time. It also is going to give the parents some information of questions they might want to inquire with a teacher about if they have any concerns, and it will also give them a progress measure to say, this is, if your child continues to learn at this rate, this is what we would expect their ACT to score to look like, this is what we expect their SAT score to look like, and in some content areas it will also give a predictive measure toward the state assessment. So it's going to give parents a lot of insight that we typically only might get once they take some of the national college placement tests like PSAT, SAT, ACT. So we're excited to be able to give that to parents more frequently.
And what if some of the scores look low? What can the district do with that information?
Well, that is something as the Assistant Superintendent over Curriculum that I am very concerned and focused about. So this gives us the chance to look at us as a district and determine where do we need to focus our professional development for teachers, where do we need to analyze the scope and sequence of our courses, and maybe where do we need to dig a little bit deeper into our state standards to make sure that teachers are targeting their instruction to the just right spot for students to learn. It will also help us know where we need to focus our intervention practices. So right now we have a lot of students that we're catching up from being out of school in a non-traditional way for the past year, and so this is really going to help our teachers focus in on the next right learning standards for students so that they can maximize their growth this year.
We typically think of the interventions as benefiting lower performing students, but this will help high achievers as well, correct?
Absolutely. That's another great thing. It is our goal for every single student to make a year or more of growth every school year. And so that means from the student who may have some difficulties in a content area all the way to the highest student. So by doing this testing process, we will then know. For instance, I was looking at some data for a 6th grade honors math class yesterday. And in looking at their data, I was able to break the class down by students that were achieving and ready to learn at the 6th grade standard related to decimals. But out of a class of 25 students, 23 of them were functioning at the 8th grade level related to decimals. So now that teacher knows, okay, my class, the majority of them are ready to learn 8th grade standards. So this is where I need to hone in my instruction for a whole group. And then that student that was in the 6th grade level would be in an intervention group to get some additional help. So it's really going to help us target and help every student make growth toward their goals.
When should students and parents expect to receive this information?
In the next 2 weeks, they'll get this information from their campus. So they're going to get a really nice 2-page document that will come home to parents that will show them exactly where their student scored. So this test was administered to all students in grades 6 through 10. And additionally, any other students at high school that have not passed their end of course exams, as that's helping us really target where students need to be successful. And then some of our elementary students in intervention are also receiving this. Next year, every parent in grades 2 through 10 will be receiving this report. So as parents start to look for this report and come home, I encourage them to reach out to their campus administrator if they have questions, or that classroom teacher for that content area. And as always, we're here to help them and want parents to know as much as they can about their child's success so that they can support them in their educational journey.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Blaylock, for being with us today. Please join us next week for another community update.